Kakadosh Boker or Masechet Sanhedrin Daf Hey Amud Aleph 55a1. We are in the Gemara. Habala be'ema ben kedarka ben shelo kedarka. If a person, a human being, has bestiality, which means that he does relations with an animal, whether it's kedarka or shelo kedarka, v'chen ha'isha mevialet v'amaleh. Or the same halacha would apply to a woman, that she comes and she brings the animal onto her, whether it's kedarka or shelo kedarka. Chayav, they are going to be chayavim. Okay, fine. Darash Rav Nachman bar Rav Chasta is Doresh of Nachman Rav Chasta. Baisha, with a woman, Shne Mishkavot. Right? Remember that to do with a woman, it's written that there's two different ways how to lie down with a woman, that's why it's written Mishkeve. Mishkeve is plural, which means two different types. So he says, Uva Behema, but to do with an animal, it's going to be Mishkav Echad. Mishkav Echad is going to be one Mishkav. Okay? There is someone who said that. So comes and he says, by behema, there's only going to be mishkav echad, which that means the man is going to be chayav, which is going to be like a normal relations, not the other way. Okay? So matkif la Rav Papa comes and he asks the following question, adraba, right? It's the exact opposite. Isha de orchehi a mishkav michayev, right? He says, 1 second, a woman, which is normal, which means that darka bebila, so therefore it's going to be michayev and mishkav. Amida amacharina lo michayev, but on something else, she's not going to be chayav. So he says, behema de lavorche, but on an animal, it's not normal to have endarka, right? So he says, lechayev alea al kol nekev nekev. So why? You're going to come and you're going to start obligating on any hole that it has, right? Obviously not. Like, what's going on exactly, right? Meaning, by biulat isha, it's much more orcha than biula of an animal, because basically it's something normal. So Tanya, we learned in a Braita, Zachar, we learned in a Braita that when we're talking about a male, if he has relations with an animal, whether it's kedarka or lo kedarka, or the woman that she brings upon herself, whether it's kedarka or lo kedarka, he's going to be chayav. So therefore, you see here mefurash that the Braita is saying whether the animal was nirvat for a man or for a woman, it's going to be the same halacha, whether it's kedarka or shelo kedarka, that you're going to be chayav. So Amar le Ravina le Rava, hame'areb b'zachur mahu. What happens if a person only did irui hara'ah, right, with a zachar? Remember, hara'ah is only entering the crown and not doing the full relations. So the second that a person entered up, what happens now? What's halacha? Okay, me'areh b'zachur mishkivei shakti. He says 1 second, but it's just like a woman, right? What does that mean? He says just like by a woman, hara'ah is considered the full thing. So to by a man, then what's the difference? So ela amara bebe'emamau. You're right. Halacha is, the question was, what about with an animal? Okay, ata iti or no? Yen hara'ah by an animal. So Amar Le, he comes and he says, Im enu inyan la'ara'ah dichtiva gabe achot aviva achot imol delot tzricha. So he comes and he says like this: if it's not going to be an inyan to do the hara'ah, because it says ki et she'ero he'era ta'itkash la'ara'ah denida, but he says because there's going to be a hekesh hara'ah for nida. So teneu inyan la'ara'ah de be'ema. So then you're going to give it for hara'ah for be'ema. Yeah. So michti. So let us see. Behema mechayve mitot betin hu. He says 1 second. When we're talking about mishkav be'ema, which is going to be chayve mitot betin, so lama li dichtiv la'ara'ah dida, right? Gabe chayve kritut. So therefore, why is it going to be called hara'ah dida by chayve kritut? So lichteve gabe mechayve mitot betin, write it by mechayve mitot betin. Viligmor, and we're going to learn chayve mitot betin, mechayve mitot betin. We're going to learn chayve mitot betin from another chayve mitot betin, because if by hara'ah, which is brought down, you don't really need it, so you're going to learn it for something else, and therefore it should be a chayav. Okay? Meaning, a behema is chayve mitot bedin, right? If somebody lives with an animal, what happens? They get killed. Chayve mitot bedin. So hara'ah should also be the exact same thing. So if hara'ah was written by, right, by the sister, right, whether it's by the father, or like a half sister, whether it's from the father or the mother, so why is it brought down? To teach you, right, that you should have just learned it. So therefore, it's coming to teach you that in all cases, hara'ah will be the same thing. So answers the Gemara, since the entire pasuk there is coming to teach you something, it's like a drasha, because you don't need it. So ktiva nami milta de drasha. So therefore we're going to write also drasha, which is to do the hara'ah. Okay, and therefore even if you didn't actually need it in itself. It says here the pasuk, is saying the exact same thing that you already said. It was you said "Ervat achot avicha lo tegale," meaning you're not allowed to have relations with your sister because it's "Sher avicha hi ervat achot imicha lo tegale." Right? Sorry, "Ervat achot avicha" is your aunt, and "Ervat achot imicha" is also your aunt, but one is from the paternal, and one is maternal, and therefore the Gemara comes and it says, so you didn't need this pasuk. So why did you bring down this pasuk? So this pasuk is coming to teach you then, right? Is coming to teach you about. Um, he comes and he says it's an entire drasha. Okay, fine. So ba miner Rav Achtabui bar Ami Rav Sheshat. So Rav Achtabui bar Ami comes and he asks from Rav Sheshat, Hame'areh be'atzmo mahu. Meaning he went and he put his eved underneath the person until it actually. Uh, yeah, that means he basically put his own eved underneath the other guy until finally it went in.
The other guy himself.
Ah, yes, you're right. Mitachtav from himself, right? Is he going to be chayav? I don't know how you do that. I thought it was somebody else because I didn't know it was possible, but I don't know. Apparently here, I guess you could do. I don't know. I guess everything's possible. I have no idea. I have no idea. כפף את העבד שלו מתחתיו עד שנגע בנקב פי הטבעת שלו. Okay? So is he chayav mishum mishkav zachor? Okay? Amalei says kivastan. Right? You trouble me with this question. Yeah. That means why? Because okay. So Baruch Hashem, he asked it. He says it's impossible. It's you. What are you asking me? Like what are you asking me this type of question? It just, what are you saying? Sam Ravashi says, "Maiti ba'elecha." Right? What's the question? Bekoshi lo mashkachala. If it's going to be that the organ is hard, he can't do that because it's going like opposite way. Like how does he do that? It doesn't exist. So ki mashkachala. When it could it be mishamesh met? If he does not have, if he's not, if the organ is dead. Leman da'amar, if you're going to tell me mishamesh men ba'ariyot patur, so here too is also going to be patur, and if it's going to be chayav, so you're going to be chayav the tarte then, right? So he says mechayav shochev, mechayav nishkav. So therefore you're going to be chayav because you're the actor and the one that you're acting in passive. Okay, fine. By minim Rav Sheshat. So now they're going to ask the question from Rav Sheshat. Oved kochavim abala be'ema mahu. When you have an oved kochavim that comes and has relations with the be'ema, what's the halacha? Yeah, so one more time. You have an Oved Kochavim. He comes and he has relations with a behemah. So what's halacha? Yeah? So he says, Takala vekalon ba'inan. Do you need two reasons of the Mishnah? If you remember, we brought down in the Mishnah, right? We brought down in the Mishnah that the reason why we killed the animal was because of two reasons. Either because the takala came through the animal, or because it's an embarrassment for the human being that every single time that they see the animal, they're going to say, this is the animal that did this, so that's why they did it. So therefore, you need both reasons. Ve'hacha, over here, you have a takala, but you don't have a kalon leka. He says, why? They're not mitbayesh for that. Meaning, they're not embarrassed about such a thing. So yeah. So therefore, since they're not embarrassed, what's the big deal? So therefore, you don't kill the animal. So Odilmar maybe takala fapishen kalon, or even one of them is enough. Meaning, we said in the Mishnah that you kill the animal. Why do you kill the animal? Shte sibot, or takala, shetakala bal yedei behema zoti, or because it's going to be walking the market and it's going to be embarrassed. They're going to say, this was the animal that this guy got killed because of, because he basically used it for his pleasures. So because of the shte sibot, or gimet behema. What happens if you only have one siba? So here they don't have kalon, they don't have embarrassment because they're not embarrassed about those things. So what's halacha? That's the question. Okay. Amar Rav Sheshat says Rav Sheshat 32. We already learned it. Ma ilanot she'en ochlim ve'en shotin ve'en menichin amra Torah shchet serof vechale. Just like by ilanot, right? It's written that they don't eat, they don't drink, they don't moreach. How do you say moreach? They're not going to smear, right? To rub. Amra Torah shchet serof vechale. You have to destroy it, burn it, right? Hoilu bala adam takala ledan. Since the takala is going to come through their hands. Hamat'et chavero midarke chaim ledarke mita lacha kama v'chama. So if somebody is going to be mat'eh, right, his friend, from darke chaim darke mita, all the more so. So ela me'ata, so now they're going to come and they're going to say the following, Oved kochavim mishtachave lebehemto Titzaru mikatla. Says 1 second. So now what happens if you have an ovek or chavim that starts bowing down to his own animal? Are you going to tell me now that you're going to prohibit the animal to Yisrael b'hana'ah and you have to kill it because ki'ilu came a takala through his hands? So he says, "Mi kamid Yisrael lo asar ulovdei chavim asar." Says, does there make sense that for a Jew it's not going to become prohibited, and for a goy, yes? Meaning, if you have a Jew that serves an animal, the animal is not prohibited and not killed. So how can you tell me now that if it was served by the goy, that it's going to be killed, right, and prohibited? Doesn't make sense. So says the Gemara, Yisrael gufalitza midav. 1 second. If the Yisrael came and had relations with it, it's not going to become prohibited. Of course it does. So for the same thing, if a Yisrael is going to come and serve an animal, right, meaning he's going to bow down to the animal, kilu, that animal should also be prohibited. So Amar Abaye says, Ze klono merube veze klono muat. He comes and he says like this. He says the mishkav by mishkav behema, this klono is merube. What does it mean merube? It's going to be a lot. And this one, avodah zarah, it's going to be klono muat. It's going to be very, very little. Meaning, by mishkav behema, there's a very, very big embarrassment. Right? Why? Because he also did an averah. By avodah zarah, right? He says, "En kalon kol kach gadol." It's not a big deal. But if the guy was already doing avodah zarah, he doesn't care. You understand? If the guy's doing a thing, it means that he's a bal ta'ava. He's a, like what's he doing? This is what he wants for his enjoyment, for his pleasure. So therefore, it's a very big embarrassment. Avodah zarah, it means anyway you're doing avodah zarah. So there's no embarrassment. So ask the Gemara, what about ilanot? En klon amrubeh. And the Torah still said, which means if you come and you serve an asherat tree, right, which is this tree, you do have to destroy it. So what's going on? Why is it you destroy the tree, but you don't have to destroy the animal? So he says, he says, no. By Baalei Chayim, the Torah was chasa on the animals. Why? We don't want to stam just destroy the animals. You understand? So fine, you have to destroy a tree, that's one thing, but not just stam. Okay? So he says, Rava comes in and says, Amra Torah behema hanenet me'avera te'arek. So he comes and he says, when you have a behema that is going to be benefiting from an avera, so then it should be killed. Meaning, we're not going to say by nirbe'a lebehema shenevda, because the behema shenevda doesn't get any benefit from it. But if it does get benefit, then yes. Meaning like this: when you have an animal that somebody served the animal as avodah zarah, does the animal benefit?
העבודה הזרה שלו?
שעבדו אותה כמו עבודה זרה.
לא?
No. No, you think he realizes that you have a exactly, you don't maybe now. Well, you think the animal understands that you're bowing down to me? You think that
maybe like the cows in the
no, but that means they don't realize. But the behemah doesn't know, so therefore he doesn't. But when a person has relations with the animal benefits. The animal, right? Okay. So says the Gemara, huh? Yeah, fine. So it says like this. Vare, so at the end of the day, the behemah is benefiting from an avera, so it should get killed. Vare ilanot. What about the trees? The trees are not getting any benefit from the avera. So why did the Torah say to destroy the tree then? Again, same answer. Baalei Chayim, since they're alive, the Torah was chas on it. Meaning the Torah had mercy on a living animal. Right? On the tree, you cut down the tree, you find Kaddish, plant another tree. Here, the animal, they had the Torah was chas on the animal. Tashema, we're going to try to bring another proof now. Davar acher, another explanation. Shelo te'eh הבהמה עובדת בשוק, ויאמרו זוהי שנזכר פלוני על ידה. What the reason of the embarrassment? We don't want the animals going through the shuk, and everyone's going to say, this is the animal that this guy was killed because he had the relations with this animal. My lover, we're not talking about Nunhei Amud Bet. You have 55b. Me the seifa letakala vekalon. So Reisha also takala below kalon. So what's the case? So what's the case then? We're talking about this is a proof too, right? Rav Sheshat, that even though, right, we're trying to say that even if it's going to be takala vekalon, so too it has to be takala without kalon, takala without embarrassment. So he says, lo, seifa is takala vekalon, and Reisha, kamashmalan, Reisha is teaching us tafilu kalon below takala, that even if it's going to be embarrassment without takala, you're still going to be chayav. So what's the case? Takala is that a mistake was done through it. Takala is like a stumbling block. That's a takala. For example, something's wrong. So let's say a computer's not working. So say yesh takala. Takala is like malfunction. There's a mistake. There's something wrong. That's a takala, right? The kalon is an embarrassment, right? Kalon is like an embarrassment. So he says, so what's the case? Yisrael abal be'ema b'shogeg. What happens if he has relations with an animal accidentally? The buyer of Amnuna, just like Rav Amnuna asked. The buyer of Amnuna, he said about Meshogeg, Ma, what's halacha? Do we say takala v'kalon, meaning that you need both? Takala and kalon, meaning you need the embarrassment plus the mistake. When here you only have the embarrassment, but you don't have the mistake. Or Dilmar, maybe, afal pi, kalon of vishen lo takala. Now, how do you do that exactly? By mistake? Let me see. It says here, Kloma, yeah, exactly. Right? So it says here, he thought that Torah didn't prohibit it. So he didn't have the kavanah for an avirah. Kilu that it's permitted. That's what's a isur. So that's what it means that kilu is by mistake. Fine. Samar of Yosef says of Yosef Tashema. We're going to try to bring another proof now. Bat shalosh shanim yom echad. When you have a 3-year-old in one day, mitkadeshet bebiyah. You have kiddush biyah, which is going to be tofsim, right? So he says ve'im bale yavam. Now, if right now, right, it says over here, if right now the yavam is going to have relations with her, kena'ah is going to acquire her. Number 3, v'chayvim alei mishum eshetish. The second that she's going to be 3 years old, she's going to be an eshetish. That means somebody has relations with her. It's an eshetish. Number 4, umetameah et boala. Number 4 also, it's going to be mitameh. That means if she becomes a nidah, she's the one that has relations with her is also tameh. Remember that if a woman's a nida, so she contaminates her, the one that has relations with her, like a nida as well. Number 5, niset lekohen. She's going to be get married to a kohen, right? To eat truma. Number 6, bale achad min apsulim is somebody that's pasul. For example, a goy, halal, natin mamzer has relations with her. Pasala min keuna. She's going to be psula from the keuna. Number 7, if somebody has relations with her, one of the family members or whoever it is, they get killed through her. But she's obviously going to be ptura because she's still a minor. Okay? So therefore, these are going to be 7 cases. The second that a girl is 3 years old in one day, that's it. She's kilu a woman. She's a woman. So says the Gemara, 1 second. What does it mean, echad mikol hayot? Tafilu be'ema? You're going to tell me even an animal? V'ahacha here, kalonika takala leka. There's only kalon. There's an embarrassment. But there's no takala. Why there's no takala? Because it's like shogeg. Meaning that since she's only a 3-year-old, it's like accidental. But she doesn't get killed. V'ktani mumatim al yadam. We still said that they're going to be killed through her. So it's a mashma that the animal is going to be killed through her. So we wanted to bring a proof from here that the animal is going to be killed just through kalon, not through takala. Meaning only if you have one thing. You don't need 2 things. So answers the Gemara, Kevan de mizidahi, but no, but since she did it purposely, takala nami ika, it's still considered takala, even though she doesn't get killed. But the Torah had mercy on her, that you're not going to kill her. Allah didachas, it only had mercy on her, abema lochas, but it's not going to have mercy on the animal. So therefore, that's why the animal is going to be killed. So therefore, when we come and we say that in the Mishnah that the animal is going to be killed, we're talking about that really be'emet there is takala and kalon, but we can't bring a proof that only one without the other would you still kill or not kill. Okay? So Amarava. So again, we're going to try to bring now another proof. Tashema. Now let's go for the male. Remember, by the girl, it's how old? 3 years old in one day. Right? Shalosh shanim yom echad. 3 years old in one day. By the boy, how much it is? 9 in one day. So let's see. Ben teisha shanim yom echad. When you have a boy that's going to be 9 years old in one day, habali v'imto kinah. If he's a 9-year-old and he has relations with a yavama, he's going to acquire the yavama. Number 2, metamenid kanida. He's going to become tameh kanida, tameh mishkavilyon tachton. That means if he has relations with a nida, he becomes an avatuma as well, right? And number 3, posel, meaning if he has relations with a girl, right? So therefore he's going to be posel otamia kiuna. Number 4, meaning if he was pasul, obviously, right? If he's going to be a goy, halal, natino, mamzer. Number 4, if he's a kohen and he has relations with another woman, so therefore for kiddushin, he cannot give her to eat truma, right? Uposelet behema. Now, what happens is that he's going to be poselet behema me'al gabe mizbeach. It means if he has relations with an animal, you can't bring this animal to the mizbeach. When he's skelet al yedo, the animal will be killed through him. Now, if he has relations with one of the rayot in the Torah, they are going to be killed, but not him. Says the Gemara, here also, you have the embarrassment, but you don't have the takala. And we still learn niskalin al yado. So answers the Gemara, the exact same answers that we answered before by the girl. Given the mezidhu, since the boy did it purposely, it is considered takala. But the Torah had mercy on him not to kill him. But the Torah only had mercy on him, but none of the animal. And therefore we do kill the animal, we don't kill the boy. But again, we do not have a proof to do with only if you have one of them. The takala without the kalon, do you actually kill or not. Okay, meaning if you have the clone without the takala. Okay, so Tashema, the last proof, right? Davar acher. שלא תהיה בהמה עובדת בשוק ויאמרו זו איש שנזכר פלוני על ידה. My love, and we're not talking about that the Sefer is talking about takala v'kalon and the Reish is kalon without takala. Ve'echidam, so what's the case? Yisrael abal בהמה v'shogeg. So then says the Gemara, no. The Sefer is talking about takala v'kalon and the Reish is talking about takala without kalon. And what's the case? Ovek chuvim abal בהמה. So this is going to be a proof that when you have takala without kalon, meaning there's no embarrassment, you still kill the animal. And what's the case? So therefore, you're still going to come and you're going to kill the animal.